This is a photo by Alexander Rodchenko, and it is named Girl with Leica from 1934. So this photo is asymmetrical. It has an asymmetrical balance, and we can see the cutoff. It's about right here with this bench. This bench kind of cuts off the top portion from the bottom portion and creates a asymmetrical composition. So the woman is more towards the top of the photo, and the grid kind of evens out and balances the photo in the foreground, so it isn't just a flat space. There is a large depth of field to this photo, and you can kind of see it. You can see it in her face here, in the background with the lines, and then also in this foot up at the front, is also in sharp view. The perspective that Rodchenko does use a lot is new vision perspective, and the camera is tilted and makes it have a little bit more different dynamics to it. So the contrast, there's a lot of light and darks within this photo. You can see them more in her dress, where it's very, very light, but then it has that shadow and it creates that contrast. But since the dress is the brightest part of this whole composition, you can also get contrast with underneath this bench right here, and also in this back corner where it's very dark. And also the grid just contrasts in general with the dark lines and the bright squares. The major vertical and horizontal lines is definitely the grid. So the grid has a lot of horizontal and vertical lines. And then they're also, it's kind of hard to find horizontal and vertical lines in this composition because of the camera perspective, but you can see it within this diagonal lines over here. They seem more horizontal with how we are looking at it. And these lines that go towards the back are more of that vertical line. The repetition of rectangles is actually seen a lot. So again, in this grid, we have these small little squares or rectangles, and you can see them again underneath the bench with the shadows. So all of these shadows underneath the bench are all rectangles, and you can see them within these lines in the back, creating kind of like a rectangle. And you can also kind of see it in her body, where her body is this rectangle itself. And then the legs are kind of like their own little rectangles. You can also see how some lines like this create this rectangle. There is also a lot of diagonals within this image. So we have these diagonals within the wall, and this diagonal here kind of connects with, it cuts off her torso from her legs, and it continues back here, and this is repeated within the dividing line of the bench is also on this diagonal, and this diagonal down here is also a part of that. There are also some other diagonals, like with the bench legs are going the opposite direction, and then her leg is also going in that same direction. And you can see up here that her camera strap is also going in that direction. And then there are also some curves that are seen in here as well. So there's this curve here with her foot shadow, and then it kind of is also accentuated right here where her leg, back of her leg meets the bench, and then it does like a flip, and there is a curve here with her hat. And there's a lot of repetition in this photo.